A very good day to all of you. Today we are going to continue the last part of Lesson 7 from Grade 10 Health and Physical Education Lesson Series. The Lesson 7 is on having nutritious food for healthy living. We're going to talk about food-related culture of Sri Lanka in the last part of the lesson. To start off, we are going to talk about traditional staples in Sri Lankan diet. As you all know, rice is the staple food in Sri Lanka. So there are many rice varieties. Although what we eat almost every day are common varieties, which are improved rice varieties, we also have some traditional rice varieties in Sri Lanka, which are highly nutritious, like Suandal Hal, El Sahal, Heenati. These are like some of the traditional rice varieties in Sri Lanka. So these are very nutritious. As you can see, Suandal is aromatic and high in antioxidants. El Sahal is known for its soft texture and high fiber content. Heenati is a red rice variety rich in minerals and beneficial for digestion. So other than rice, grains and grain-based foods are also a traditional staple in Sri Lankan diet. For example, kurakkan and mineri. So these provide essential carbohydrates, fiber, and micronutrients in our diet. So these traditional food also have balanced meals in them. Like the Sri Lankan meals emphasize a balance of macronutrients through a variety of natural and minimally processed foods. For example, hat malwa, munkiribab, mixed green leaves. Like when you talk about hat malwa, it's a curry made with 7 different vegetables. So it improves the nutrient diversity. And then munkiribab is a combination of rice and mung beans cooked in coconut milk. So it provides proteins, carbohydrates, as well as healthy fats. And then mixed green leaves. Kolakanda, people make kolakanda out of mixed green leaves or mellung, sometimes sambal. So all these leaves are packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So as Sri Lankans, we can enjoy a variety of traditional balanced meals. It's a part of our culture. Another food-related culture that we have in Sri Lanka is food preservation and avoiding food waste. So to minimize food waste, there are traditional preservation methods that have been used for centuries in Sri Lanka. For example, drying fish, which we call as karavala, salted. These fish are salted and then they are sun-dried for longer shelf life. Shelf life means like how long we can preserve them in a condition which they are good for consumption for humans. And then there's jodi, which is a fermented fish, and it is also a probiotic rich fermented fish dish. And another way of preservation is drying jackfruit seeds. It's a way to store and use jackfruit seeds for later consumption, either in curries or even for snacks. We also have different traditional foods coming from different ethnic communities in Sri Lanka. For example, when it comes to the Tamil community, they have pittu, thosai, and vade. And then when it comes to the Muslim community, they have traditional foods like biryani and watalappam. So all these types of dishes add a variety for our food culture. We also have special dishes in festive and special occasions. So during cultural and religious festivals, we know that traditional foods play a major role. For example, Sinhala and Tamil New Year, we have milk rice and other types of sweetmeats like cookies, kaung, and alua. And then when it comes to Thai Pongal, which is a Hindu festival, there's Pongal rice, which is a dish made with newly harvested rice, jaggery, and milk. And then there are other foods specially made for special other ceremonies and rituals. So milk rice is prepared for weddings, birthdays, and to celebrate other auspicious events. And then there's something called malabata, which is prepared during, like, at the end of funerals. It is usually served after a funeral as part of cultural custom. So it is a simple meal of rice, dry fish, and pumpkin curry. So some of these types of foods might differ from like one to another depending on the area or the region where this is coming from. Maybe people in the Western province might be cooking it in a different way, and people in another province might be doing it in another way. So there are certain differences as it's cultural. So it's not a standard, it's cultural. So the last point that we are going to talk about under food related culture of Sri Lanka is the cultural and nutritional aspects of traditional food. Are these traditional food nutritionally good? So these traditional foods, they are, like as you saw, they are deeply rooted in cultural significance and rituals. So these type of traditional foods, they are often passed down from generation to generation. And many of the Sri Lankan traditional foods are nutrient dense. And these festive foods often emphasize community bonding, religious values, and cultural identity. They are, of course, nutritious, like most of them. It cannot be applied to certain types of foods, to be honest, but most of them are nutrient dense. So that's about the food related culture of Sri Lanka. So in the last part of this lesson, we are going to talk about preparations of food according to the needs of different individuals. So there are different individuals in the society, like even if taken a family, the individual nutrient requirement is different. Especially there are certain categories that we have to pay attention to, like children, adolescents, pregnant mothers, lactating mothers, patients, vegetarians, and sportsmen. So these categories of people in our society, they need special attention, they need special nutrient requirements. So let's dive into that. Let's start by talking about children's nutrient requirements. So babies should be exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months of their life. So when it comes to babies, in their first 6 months of their life, it's a compulsory to give them breast milk and not any other thing, like no formula milk unless it's medically advised, only breast milk during the first 6 months of their life. Because this breast milk can provide all the necessary nutrients and immunity to protect the baby from infections. So it's really important to give them breast milk during the first 6 months. And after the first 6 months, breast milk alone is not enough. Breast milk is not enough for the baby to have the other nutrient requirements it needs. So other complementary foods are introduced, like the other types of fruits, vegetables, potatoes, and such type of things. So the first foods should be semi-solid because the baby might not have teeth. The first food should be semi-solid, like mashed potatoes, mashed fruits, vegetables, rice porridge, such things can be given. And then as the baby develops teeth, the food can gradually become more solid. You start with semi-solid foods and then gradually move on to solid foods. And then by the end of the first year of the child, the baby should be introduced to family food in small and soft portions. Family food means whatever the food that the family eats on a day-to-day basis. And then when we talk about the nutritional needs for growing children, when children start to grow, they become more active. So they need more energy. Their energy requirements increase. And when their energy requirements increase, it's important that they should be given the right amount of food. Their diet should be rich in carbohydrates because carbohydrates is the main macronutrient which provide energy for us, and also they should be given proteins for growth and development. Childhood is like the most important stage of a human where growth and development happens. So they should be given carbohydrates and proteins. And also children don't eat quite a lot. They can't have like larger portions. They eat smaller, like very small portions. So their food should be nutrient dense. Like they have the food, smaller portions of food should be packed with all the nutrients that they need. That's why we refer it to as nutrient dense. That means a smaller volume of food has having a lot of nutrients, can be called as nutrient dense food. So to encourage appetite, offering a variety of dishes and flavors is also beneficial. Like children at their age should be introduced to different types of foods with different flavors, and we also have to make sure that they are given a balanced diet including carbohydrates, proteins, and healthy fat. And also iron and calcium because it's essential for bone growth and brain development, and also other fruits and vegetables which provide vitamins, minerals, and fiber also to support immune function. Also, the children should not be given processed foods. Too much sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats can lead to health issues later in life. So it's important that children avoid processed foods at the very early ages of their life. Next, we are going to talk about adolescence. Adolescence is a critical period of growth that requires increased energy and nutrients to support bone development, muscle growth, and hormonal changes. A balanced diet during this stage is crucial for long-term health and future generations. So, if we focus on the key nutritional needs for adolescents, they are energy and protein, which is really important for growth and muscle development. And then calcium, essential for strong bones and preventing osteoporosis later in life. Iron, which is important for blood production and preventing anemia, especially in girls. Vitamins and minerals. Vitamin D is really important for calcium absorption, and vitamin C is important for iron absorption in our bodies. So they are also essential. Fiber and hydration. They prevent digestive issues and maintains metabolism. So you can go through this slide. There are sources for each of the nutritional needs. We also can identify some common nutritional challenges in adolescence. One is excessive junk food consumption. These can lead to diseases like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease later in life. So such types of food eating practices should be controlled. And then skipping meals, especially like people try to skip their breakfast, and these can result in fatigue, poor concentration, and nutritional deficiencies during adolescence. And then unhealthy weight control practices, especially girls, they often try to restrict their food intake, thinking about their figure and the appearance and all. And some, like if it's not done properly, if they are not overweight and then they are still trying to control their weight for some reason, this can lead to underweight issues, menstrual irregularities, and even fertility problems in life. Therefore, it's important that adolescents learn healthy eating habits, such as including a variety of fresh fruits, vegetables, and whole grains in their daily meals, reducing sugary drinks and fast food, and instead of that, they can try to have homemade nutritious meals. Encourage regular physical activity to support bone and muscle development, and also educate adolescents about healthy weight management rather than extreme dieting. So these are like some of the healthy eating habits adolescents can practice. Next, we are going to talk about pregnant mothers. So we all know that pregnancy is a critical period and it requires increased nutrients to support both mother and the baby, that means maternal health and fetal development. And therefore, a well-balanced diet is essential to ensure the baby's proper growth and also to prevent any complications. So there are certain key nutrients that pregnant mothers should pay attention to. The first one is carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, the macronutrients, because they provide energy and also support fetal growth and tissue development. And then folic acid, which is also known as vitamin B9. This prevents neural tube defects in the baby, which happens in the, this is a complication happening in the spinal cord of the baby. So if folic acid is not taken enough, this can happen. Iron is also essential to prevent anemia and support oxygen transport to the baby. And calcium and phosphorus is important for baby's bones and teeth development. Iodine is also really important for the brain development in the fetus. Vitamin A is important for vision and immune system development. So you can pause the video over here and go through the sources for each of these key nutrients. There are also common pregnancy challenges and solutions when it comes to food eating. So one such problem is loss of appetite, especially during the early pregnancy period. So what they can do is they can try to eat small, frequent meals instead of going for a large meal. And also they can include easily digestible foods like rice porridge and soft fruits. And they can drink fresh fruit juices and coconut water to keep themselves hydrated. And then some of the mothers have morning sickness and nausea as a problem throughout their pregnancy. So they can try to avoid spicy and oily foods which kind of trigger nausea, and also eat ginger, lemon, and dry crackers to ease nausea. Then cravings and overeating. Choose healthy snacks like nuts, yogurt, and fruit instead of sugary foods. Like they might get cravings to eat more sugary foods, and like there are different kind of cravings. It depends, but it's always better to choose healthy snacks. And then there's constipation, which increase fiber intake, like to solve the problem of constipation, one can increase fiber intake and drink plenty of water. So here you have some of the healthy pregnancy tips. It's always better to consult a doctor before taking any medication or even supplements during pregnancy. Maintain a balanced diet with all essential nutrients. Engage in light physical activity like walking, unless medically restricted. It's important that even during the pregnant period, they get some physical activity, and also stay hydrated and get enough rest at the same time. Then we are going to talk about lactating mothers or breastfeeding mothers. Breastfeeding is an essential thing for an infant's growth and development. As you know, breast milk provides all necessary nutrients, especially during the first 6 months of life. So to maintain good milk production, And also to ensure the mother's health, a nutrient-rich diet is important for the breastfeeding mother. So here you are looking at some of the key nutrients for lactating mothers. It's important that they increase their calorie intake because they need extra energy to produce milk. They're feeding another human being, so they need to increase their calories. And here are the sources that they can take this. And proteins also important to support milk production and to help the mother's body to recover after childbirth. Iron is important to prevent anemia and to support postpartum recovery. The same thing, mother's body recover after childbirth. And calcium is essential for bone health in both mother and baby. Fluids and hydration is important, which is also really important for milk production, need water. Vitamins and minerals to maintain overall health and immunity. So these are some dietary tips for lactating mothers. They can have an extra meal daily to meet the higher calorie requirement. Also, they should drink plenty of fluids, at least 8 to 10 glasses of water. And also they should avoid caffeine, alcohol, and overly spicy foods which may affect breast milk. And then if we talk about patients, the patients should be given a nutrient-rich diet because it's important for them for their tissue repair and also to boost their immunity. That means they are fighting against a certain disease. So for that they need nutrient-rich diet. And also continue the normal diet, like eating well helps recovery and it does not affect digestion, because sometimes there's like a myth that when there are patients, people try to avoid their normal diet and they try to downsize their diet, but it's not the thing. Like if they are normal, like if there aren't any medical restrictions, they can continue their normal diet. And it's always good to seek medical advice. They can consult a doctor or nutritionist for any of the specific dietary needs. So gradual diet progression is important when it comes to patients with digestion issues. Not every patient has these digestion issues, but some have. If they have, there should be a gradual diet progression. That means their diet start with liquids and then they gradually move on to semi-solids and finally they shift to solid foods. Then when it comes to vegetarians, that means people who entirely rely on fruits and vegetables and they don't eat any meat or fish or eggs. So we are going to talk about such people. So they have to ensure that they take a balanced diet in order to meet all their nutritional needs. So if they are not eating meat or fish or eggs for their protein intake, they can have it from other protein-rich grains and vegetables like green gram, dal, and soya beans. And they can combine foods to have the ideal nutritional needs like red rice. For example, mix red rice with mushrooms and cereals for better nutrition. Iron and calcium sources are also really important for them. And then when it comes to children who are also vegetarians, they have their growth needs at childhood. So animal proteins are high in quality and help rapid growth until 18 years. So it's better like if the children do not become vegetarians at their age, if they are like less than 18 years, but still if they are vegetarians, they might have to seek medical advice in order to at least get the nutritional needs from supplements. And vegetarian protein balance. If the vegetarians avoid meat at all, what they can do is mix grains and cereals to get all essential amino acids. Vitamin B12 concern. Since it's only found in animal foods, vitamin B12 is essential for our body. But this is only found in animal foods like meat. However, vegetarians, as they do not eat meat, they might have to consider supplements with medical advice. Then when it comes to sportsmen, so the diet varies based on the age, sex, the metabolism level, and the type of sport that a person do. Then there's pre-event nutrition. That means before the event, a proper meal should be taken by that person, by the sportsman, for energy. Then there's during and after. That means they have to refuel in between and replenish nutrients post-event. So this can even apply for those who are going to the gym and they are lifting heavy weights. So they have pre-event nutrition. And there's during and after. So during, it's most of the time water and maybe other type of recommended electrolytes, and after could be a meal. Seek professional advice. So get medical or nutritionist guidance for a balanced diet. Adjust the intake. That means increase food intake during the sports season, and they can reduce their food intake during the off season, especially for sportsmen who do sports as their profession. Training is key. So a good diet alone is not going to make a great sportsman. It's about performance, so consistent training is also essential. They cannot entirely rely on their diet, but it's obvious that training is essential. Thank you very much for listening. That brings us to the end of lesson 7. There are more lessons to come, so subscribe the channel and stay tuned for more lessons.